Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-hosts, Russell Jackman and Mike McDowd. At each commercial break, we are going to ask a trivia question. Today's trivia theme, miscellaneous trivia. We like to keep it miscellaneous, kind of jump all over the board here. In our next segment, we're hoping to have Alex Beita, who is a San Francisco native and U.S. Berkeley graduate, and he's got some really great contacts in the sports world. We'll let him tell us about that. Mike, you were talking about a little bit of baseball and a little bit of football off the air.
Yeah, but I'm also talking a little about college basketball as well because it's heating up. March Madness is around the corner, and as you probably know, and our wonderful listeners know, I have been, how do I say this, not too happy with the play of the teams out in the West Coast, etc. And I have a tad bit of good news to report that I'd like to share with the entire world today, including my two wonderful hosts here. It's called a tease. So I don't want to tell you what it is yet. But there's actually one Northern California team that's finally making some noise, and that's all I'm going to say.
And Russell, you and I are excited. Well, Mike is too, I'm sure, because he's still a Bay Area guy, even though he's living outside the state. Boy, Jimmy Butler sure turned things around for the Warriors, didn't he?
Yeah, and a lot of people were not anticipating him to be a good fit. A lot of people were thinking the Warriors were settling. They didn't get, they tried a lot of other options. They even tried to get Durant, and none of that worked out. And now it looks like Jimmy Butler is the perfect fit for what they really needed to energize them and give them.
Well, it's interesting because he's kind of on the tail end of his career, but he's sure playing like a.
So is Curry and so is Draymond, but maybe all of them together can get stuff done.
All right, stay with us, audience. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Mike McDowd and Russell Jackman. Guys, last time I don't think we talked much about the Luka Doncic AD trade. And
I know I didn't talk about it last time.
Yeah, you were on assignment, as they say. I can't believe that the Mavericks would have traded Luka Doncic because AD seems to get hurt a little too much, and which he did again.
Well, right now I'm not entirely sure it's a perfect trade for either team. Yes, Doncic has had a pretty good last couple of games, but when he arrived, he was certainly not in shape. And there's a lot of talk that he's unhappy with the idea that he won't get a Supermax contract from LA. And that could cost him over $100 million over his career. So if we're talking Sports Econ 101, there's a chance that Doncic doesn't even wind up re-signing with LA after this year is done, or after his contract is done. I think it's after one more year.
I got to say that I was thinking about you the last few weeks, Russell, while you were on assignment, as they say, because it's so funny when the Warriors got Buddy Hield. I was all excited because I knew he was a good shooter and a good player. And you told me ahead of time. I mean, when the first time I mentioned that, you said, he can't really play defense, blah, blah. And it's like you were like the master because it's amazing.
And I love the Jimmy Butler trade from the beginning. So I must know something about the Warriors.
Yes. Yeah. And the players, not just the Warriors, not just the team.
No, it's a team I care a lot about.
You should call Steve Kerr and ask for an original job.
But yeah, I'd like to see the Warriors make a push. Some of the young players like Podziemski's playing really well, and they're getting a lot out of Guy Santos and from Quentin Post. So it's been like a lot of and Moses Moody has been the other big revelation for this team. And without Andrew Wiggins, that's sort of addition by subtraction. The fact I'm not saying Andrew Wiggins wasn't talented, and you're welcome to him in Miami now, Mike. You can go watch him play over, in Miami now. But I thought that he just didn't want it bad enough. He doesn't have the intensity of Jimmy Butler and the fire to get to the line and make a couple of key free throws.
He couldn't make layups. That would always frustrate me.
He wasn't good at it.
Yeah.
No, and he just didn't have the intensity. And I thought he was going to lose a lot of minutes anyway when Kuminga comes back. Now that's the big question here in the Bay Area: is Kuminga or not Kuminga? And how do you fit a guy like that in when everything is working so well? How do you take minutes out from a 5-1 basketball team?
Yeah.
Michael, how do you do
think?
it? Yeah, how much time does Kuminga get?
I don't know. I honestly, I want to talk about Luka in a second, but I'm not too excited about the Warriors. I mean, look at their record: 30-27. They're in 9th place in the Western Conference. I mean, how can you really get too excited about this team? I'm being
5-1 is how you get excited about it. It's not what the record was. It's the fact that it's their 5-1 since Jimmy Butler came in.
Exactly.
But I don't think this. I don't even think this team is good. They might make the playoffs. They might.
Yeah.
I just don't think this team's that good. I mean,
there's only 4 games separating them.
I'm a Warriors fan. I grew up the Warriors fan. I just think you have to look at this team overall and the depth. Statistically, they're okay. But
they're just top 10 in defense, which a lot of people don't realize. A lot of this, again,
that's one category. I mean, they don't even have a top scorer in the league. With Steph Curry is like the top 3-point shooter. That's it. And I'm looking at the stats right here. I mean, it's just not a lot going on.
Well, let's see how the next few games go with Jimmy. Because again, he really did kind of start the turnaround.
Yeah, we're going to pound Charlotte into the dust, I'm sure, tonight. So, they'll likely be 6-1 after today. So.
And Mike, you said you wanted to mention something about Luka?
Oh, I mean, you and I talked about this last time. One of the big knocks on him, and I think Russell just kind of briefly mentioned it, is the fact that, there was a knock on by, even his head coach, Jason Kidd, that he doesn't take care of himself. He's getting overweight. Yeah. How many NBA players actually gain weight during the season? Well, not a whole
too
lot.
Many. Yeah, but it's amazing. And let me interrupt ourselves for a minute here, because I believe our guest Alex Beita has joined us. Alex, I think you're still on mute, but if you get off mute, it would be awesome to hear you and see you. So we're going to let you. We're going to continue on, and Alex, when you can get off of mute, that'd be great. We'd love to get your both audio and video if you can. Let's see. It's funny to think about the guy who gains weight during the season. I mean, that's a lot of projection, though, right? Like, got to watch out for this guy. But if he's still performing well.
Yeah.
And when you're off due to an injury, it is hard to, not, gain some weight because it's hard.
That's
he couldn't really practice because he had that calf injury for almost 2 months.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah. And again, not bringing it Warrior centric, but that's a big question about Kuminga. Do you just throw him right into the mix, even though he's been out for a couple months? Or do you have to slowly integrate him in? And if so, whose minutes does he take? Everyone's playing so well. It's such a hard choice for Kerr to make. But I trust Kerr will be able to figure out a way to do it.
Sure.
And, getting back, I think some teams in the West are certainly struggling that were playing well, including Wembanyama. How about the discussion about Wembanyama and his shoulder? I don't know if you guys had a chance to talk about that last week. But that was stunning news as well. That that young guy who is going to be the face of the NBA is out for the season, and who knows what his future is going to be. Now, other players have played with that blood thinning medication to avoid the blood clot, but there are other guys who have had to retire, like Chris Bosh, from basically the same malady.
Apparently, what we say is that his is a little bit different, but still, it's still pretty significant. But how about those Cavaliers? What a bunch of young guns, and holy smokes, they're kind of taking the league by storm, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they would be my choice to represent the East over Boston. I think it's going to be Cavaliers Boston finals.
Yeah.
Well, let's not, and let's not forget the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're playing a heck of good basketball.
They just lost to Minnesota,
including the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets are a team.
OKC just lost to Minnesota after they had a 25-point lead on Minnesota in the third quarter, and they lost in overtime to Minnesota.
Yeah,
I'm not a believer in OKC.
Well, you got to believe it. But their record doesn't lie. 46-11. Sorry, 46-11 doesn't lie. I mean, and every team has a collapse. The Warriors have been down by 35 or whatever,
Yeah.
So you got to look at this a little pragmatically. I mean, listen, I hope the Warriors get a chance. I love what Steph Curry said recently. Hey, we're a team, and a couple of those teams we believe in this team. We think we can win another we know we're going to win another championship.
Yeah, love that.
I don't know. It was we talked a lot about the All-Star game last week, and in particular how bad it was played and the format was awful. And the only exciting thing about it was the dunk contest. The kid out of the CBA or the CBA,
the 3-point contest,
the G League player was great.
Yeah,
the 3-point shootout had some drama to it. I actually went to the festivities here in San Francisco, so I actually went to Moscone Center and saw the NBA Connect stuff.
Hey guys, really quickly, here's our first trivia question here. Which is the largest internal organ in the human body? All right.
Internal.
That's our trivia question. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown along with Mike McDowd, Russell Jackman. Our guest is going to join us in about 3 seconds. Let's first answer the trivia question. Which is the largest internal organ in the human body?
I
know what the largest organ is. I don't know. I'll just
skin.
Say this.
Yeah,
the skin is the outer one, but
I'm going to say it's your intestines.
I don't think that's considered an organ because that's not the answer to the.
It isn't.
No.
What the heck is it?
Well, it's not a.
I got the answer, but I can. You want to?
Okay, Alex, go ahead.
It's how's it going? I know this because intimate history with this with my family. It's the liver.
The liver.
Oh,
that's correct. Okay, and who is that?
All right.
Well, that's Alex Beita from Element 23. Now, I'm going to read a little bio here. Alex is a San Francisco native and UC Berkeley graduate, where he majored in business administration and had the privilege of anchoring the 4x100 relay team alongside NFL stars Marshawn Lynch and Justin Forsett. Alex began his career in sports marketing in 2014 and founded his own influencer and sports marketing agency, Element 23, in 2015. I'll have to ask him when he get after I finish reading it how he got to Element 23. Since then, he has led award-winning campaigns for some of the world's largest brands and most iconic talent, including, I'm going to read the ones that we all know about: Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, Conor McGregor, Kareem. I'm just going to say Kareem. Everybody knows that. Floyd Mayweather, Mike Tyson, Deebo Samuel, Joe Montana, Richard Sherman, Carmelo Anthony, Drew Barrymore, Megan Fox, Tim Brown, Alex Smith, Hunter Pence, Russell Westbrook, Jerry Rice, Alicia Keys, and many other Grammy, Oscar, Olympic, and MVP winners. Hey, Alex, welcome to Sports Econ 101.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. So first of all, how did you come up to the name Element 23?
Took a lot of brainstorming power. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. Was born in '84, so my childhood was NBC basketball with Bob Costas, watching the Michael Jordan Bulls with Scottie Pippen and B.J. Armstrong and that whole fun era of real basketball compared to what we got today. And we're a marketing agency, and we create different types of campaigns based on what a brand needs. We went back and forth on ways that we could incorporate the number 23 into the agency's name. Went on, whole creative thought process, and the 23rd element is oh God, I'm gonna blank on it, but it's it's an
yeah.
amorphous metal that you can actually change. The 23rd element. I know this. I've told the story a million times. 23rd element is it's vanadium.
But yeah, I remember.
It's a malleable metal, right? So if you think about what a marketing agency does, you're creating different creative campaigns for a brand, and so we heard it one time and it stuck.
Okay. Now, how did you get all the people who I mentioned? Because it's very varying. I mean, you've got MMA fighter and basketball and boxing and football. How did you get all these people?
Yeah, so when we created the agency, we were at a small tech startup in San Francisco. Brett Favre was actually involved as kind of like a co-founder, and we were creating a social media platform to compete with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And the intention was to create a sports-focused ecosystem where you could talk about sports. 3 topics that typically push your audience away at the time: sports, religion, and politics. We wanted to create one where you could just talk about sports without being judged. I go on rants about the 49ers losing clutch playoff games all the time, and sometimes that offends my followers. They just want to see pictures of my 8-year-old playing in the snow. They don't want to hear me go on rants about how the 49ers blew it again. So the idea at the time was to create a social platform around sports where you could just feel safe talking about, whatever sports topics you wanted. And that company partnered with guys like Conor McGregor and Patrick Peterson and Richard Sherman, a number of soccer stars, David Luiz William from Europe. And I was brought in to run sales, and the goal was to help monetize the platform. Reached out to a bunch of brands. They were all very interested in working with the talent, but not so much the platform that we were building. I then realized that you can be a liaison between brands and all the talent in the world. If you can provide the creative services and help the brand kind of put together campaigns that suits their, game launches, if it's a gaming company, or if they're trying to promote a different line of clothing. We worked with Ali Raceman on an awesome campaign with Aeropostale in our early days to promote their Seriously Stretchy jeans. So we don't rep the talent. We work on the brand side, and then we go and procure the talent and plug them into the campaigns that we work on.
So like someone like Hunter Pence, well, I'm trying to think of like what his brand, like what is.
Yeah, so Hunter.
Yeah.
Hunter is a wildly, entertaining, very engaging social media platform. He's a big gamer. And so for Hunter, we plugged him into a campaign. It was actually with Megan Fox, Steve Aoki, John Cho from the Star Trek series. And we had them in a round table just talking about their love of all things gaming and Star Trek. Typical gamer who's a big gamer as well was involved in that campaign. And we get them around. We create a bunch of social snippets, and then they throw it on their Instagram and their Twitter and Facebook accounts, and creates engagement for the brand and drives awareness for the game and gets people to download the game and play the game. And, that's what we do.
Oh, cool. Good, Mike.
Alex, I got to ask you this.
Great to work with. Was that?
Alex, I got to ask you this very profound question. You worked with the Fox. Megan Fox. I definitely think she's a Fox.
Yes.
And although I think she's married with that Machine Gun Kelly, she's gone way down after she married him. And
I think they broke up.
Okay. Well, I liked her in her more innocent days, to be honest, when she was on Transformers. That was good. That was the Megan Fox. There's something special about her. But do you get to actually have much interaction with these folks that you work with? And what are some of the personalities that you have to deal with? And do things ever get a little interesting just for the sake of storytelling?
I got to maintain positive relationships with these agents, regardless of how things might have got entertaining or a little uncomfortable at times. But yeah, of course. I mean, you get to know a lot. I mean, Patrick Peterson, I've worked with him a lot. His marketing agency is one of my best friends. We spend a lot of time together at the Celebrity Golf Tournament in Lake Tahoe every year. Richard Sherman as well. I was actually just with Patrick at Media Row in New Orleans for 5 days, and he was amazing to work with. And he had, he hosts for Sirius. He had a number of amazing talent on air with him: Deion Sanders, Joe Montana, Jameis Winston. Kenny Chesney was on air, I believe, with him. Yeah, I mean, you deal with all types of personalities. You have a campaign timeline. You hope that a post goes live at 7 a.m, but you get a text from the marketing agent that their private jet hasn't landed yet and they can't post on time, and then that throws off the entire campaign because you're waiting on that for the campaign to kick off. You get crazy requests for hair and makeup artists, demanding $5,000, $10,000 for a skit that you're recording for 15 or 20 minutes. There's a lot of crazy requests. Certain things that they want in their bedroom.
Egos at all, do they? They don't have egos.
No, but I mean, look, they all have brands to maintain. We're very fortunate that we've worked with some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment. They thrive on presenting themselves a certain way whenever the cameras are on. And as an agency looking to bring that to light for a brand, we're always looking to appease them. So.
Gotcha. Hey, really quickly before we go to a break, what was it like to, because I read this in the beginning part, you were the anchor for the relay team along Marshawn Lynch and Justin Forsett. That must have been a pretty, guys, you specifically must be really, really fast.
Yeah, I think I have a bobblehead here on my desk that says fastest white guy, and my wife got for me for Christmas many years ago. I grew up in San Francisco. I was a multi-sport athlete, played soccer, lacrosse, basketball, baseball, tennis, everything. I went to a small high school in Marin County that did not have football or track, and kind of as like a senior project, the school promotes the final 6 weeks of our senior year to kind of find a passion for something. My wife did like sushi making. Branson.
I was going to say yes.
Yeah, I was going to say that because they've I guess they don't have football. That's true. Yeah,
they now have sevens, but in 2003 they did not. Although we begged the athletic director, Al Endress, who's a longtime Redwood coach, one of the iconic coaches in Marin County history. He was the assistant AD at the time. And he said, Alex, if you want to start a track team as your senior project, go ahead. You got to get 15 kids to sign up minimum for me to, order the uniform. So we walked around campus and we got a bunch of freshmen that looked like they, had no real interest in sports, but maybe we could get them out to the track.
Yeah.
We had a lot of success. I remember all the kids from Terra Linda and Marin Catholic talking, smack to us when we'd get in the blocks the first time, these, skinny kids from Branson. And I have a couple pictures, actually, of me beating those MC kids on my desk.
There you go.
One of them was Khalil Bell. He went and played at UCLA and for the Bears eventually. Okay. And, I walked on to Cal, was not recruited. Guys get injured. I ended up running anchor leg.
Perfect. Okay. Hey, tell you what, let's go to our second commercial break here. What is the chemical symbol for sodium? All right. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Mike McDowd. We like to call him Mike McDowd. Our special guest, Alex Beita, and Russell Jackman, our other co-host. What is the chemical symbol for sodium?
NaCl.
Well, that's sodium chloride. That's salt. So the first part, Na, that is correct. Very good. All right, that voice was from Russell. Now, Michael, you did want to give us a continuation from your teaser from before.
Yeah, we're just real quick, and then I just popped on something. I think Alex would be a perfect guy to talk to about this because it has something to do with Cal. I'm going to leave it alone. Don't worry, I'll talk about it.
No, you come at me. Bring on the Cal sports trivia. I got you.
Well, yeah, and I grew up a huge Cal fan, but I'm very frustrated with that program. Let's just leave it alone. But top 25 AP college basketball, I've been absolutely lambasting the West, how horrible the West basketball is. It's just like football. The teams in the West aren't representing everything. everybody is, going to the SEC or the ACC. I mean, the top team in the country right now, of course, is Auburn, Duke, Florida, Houston, Tennessee, Alabama 6.
Yep.
I mean, those are 1, 2, 3 SEC teams. And then, however, here's the good news. However, here is the good news. People, wake up. The Gales of St. Mary's have snuck in at number 23. Above them is number 22, Arizona. And then rounding out the top 25, a team out of the West, the Fighting Mormons of BYU. Does it get any better? I think the West is back now.
Why is Arizona?
You know?
I was just say, is it Arizona State or Arizona University?
No, the Wildcats.
U of A, the Wildcats.
Okay.
I mean, just glad to see some representation because, Alex, I don't, you haven't been on the show, but I'm so disappointed with just the overall performance of teams out of the West because, the West Coast, and that's where we all are from, we just get absolutely hammered about a lack of respect, a lack of, you guys don't play anything out there anymore. Well, that's not true. The Pac-12 was the Conference of Champions, and we were one of the best football and basketball and baseball, conferences and areas in the entire nation. But obviously things have shifted, and I don't like it one bit. Any thoughts?
I mean, as a Cal alum that was there in 2004 with that Rogers Marshawn Lynch team that was 9 yards away from beating USC and going to the national championship game or the Rose Bowl at a minimum. Yeah, it's for sure frustrating. I work in the industry. I'm friends with a lot of NFL agents that represent, NIL talent. I do myself as well, work with a lot of NIL talent, and the frustrations of trying to get some of the top names to Cal are, they're just not, the collective doesn't have the money, right? So when you hear about kids from San Francisco, like Najee Harris and De La Salle guy going to Alabama, or, Maurice Jones-Drew going to UCLA, even Bay Area has not really ever done a great job of keeping Bay Area talent. Marshawn Lynch and Leon Poe were two Oakland guys that stayed at Cal when I was there. But a lot of the top names, I mean, when you're offering a kid at running back or lineman or receiver or quarterback $1 million plus to come play, like Cal can't really compete with that. We just had one of the most exciting big games ever. And, 98 yards to the house with my boys or whatever the line was. And he ended up going to Indiana, right? You would have thought they would have done everything they could to lock him in. And they lost him, Mendoza. It's just culturally, the fan base, there's a lot of money in the Bay Area. There's a lot of tech founders that went to Cal. They're just not interested in investing in a non-tangible, no ROI investment. Whereas when you go east in the SEC and Alabama and Texas A&M, those guys don't care about what the ROI is on winning a national championship or winning a Sugar Bowl game. Just the pride that comes with it, and Bay Area people, I have this conversation all the time. They'd rather keep their money in NVIDIA and tech stocks, and they don't really care how Cal and Stanford do. Stanford has their own problem. They have this huge endowment, but they can't use it for sports. So it's just a sad reality until they put a cap on what these teams can spend and make it a little bit more fair for the smaller programs. You're going to continue to see East Coast and these core sports cities completely dominate the landscape of basketball and college football.
Last week, Mike, you and I were talking a little bit about the fact that you mentioned that Deion Sanders doesn't go to recruits' homes, and he you're thinking, well, does he just rely on his star power?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the same sort of thing. Alex, you see that too, where some of these guys are just, again, I guess, it's like, well, play football for Alabama. What else is there to say? Right? I mean, how hard do these guys have to work? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama, I think, will slip. Saban was obviously the glue guy there forever. Yeah. I actually think, Ohio State and Oregon, with the power of Nike behind them, and Phil Knight saying that he's got unlimited funds to go build the greatest Oregon football team ever. Oregon now being in the Big Ten, and players and their parents not hearing the traditional, oh, well, you're not going to get any, fans watching your games late night on Pac-10 under, after hours. It's no longer an issue, right? Oregon's going to be playing Michigan and Ohio State and all those, Big Ten schools in prime time at 9 o'clock or whatever time for the whole country to watch. So I think Oregon came up short this year, but I think they're going to really compete and build an amazing program. And again, it just comes because Phil Knight is willing to spend as much as he can to make them win.
Yeah,
But that's just going to be the future. But Alabama, you got to still go in the homes. I see, I talked to a lot of players. Cultural fit is still something that they do care about. Not everybody is just taking the biggest bag. They want to make sure that their linemen, that the line coach is somebody that, understands their strengths and weaknesses and that they fit in culturally on the team. And then I think, it comes down to, okay, I found 5 to 6 schools that culturally I want to play at. I believe in the philosophy of the program, the coaching staff. Now how much are you going to pay me is what it ultimately then comes down to. Cal could be in the mix culturally. Wilcox is a great coach. He's done a lot with, not a $20 million roster like Ryan Day had. And, then it just comes down to, can you see past the zeros on the offer that we give you? Unfortunately, for some of these kids, it's just that's what it comes down to, because their careers are not guaranteed that they're going to be NFL stars. Some, like Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, top wide receiver in the country, he's pretty much guaranteed to go top 10 pick. But a lot of guys aren't. And so if they can make $1 million to launch their career in finance or sales or whatever before they get out of school, and they invest that well and they find a good financial advisor, they're set up. And that's not just 1 year. They're getting that for year 1, and then they might transfer in year 2, and they could be at 3 schools. Now with the ruling, they could have 7 years potentially and be playing at 24. If you're a super senior and you're making, $2 million and you have no chance of playing in the CFL or NFL or any professional football league, you've now made $4 to $5 to $6 million before you ever have to get a real job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. AJ DeBance from BYU on this list of the top 25 in basketball. He's getting $7 million next year to play at BYU. Basketball.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, you were so eloquent the way you described kind of the culture of Cal. And, I grew up, my father worked at KGO Radio. I grew up my whole life going to Cal football games and supporting them, not going to the school. But I've heard all the excuses. I can go all over the place, so I'll try to stay concise. But culturally, you hear, oh, there's so much to do in the Bay Area, fans don't go to games, etc. I just, as you know, it's a very, it's an incredible campus, one of the great academic institutions in this country. You're in the San Francisco Bay Area. And again, the big thing that bothers me, Alex, is the fans. Oh, there's so much to do. We don't want to go to a football game. Get over yourselves. Go support the Golden Bears, will you? And then furthermore, is there kind of a mindset at Cal? Because I just don't get it. And I actually get passionate and emotional about it. And I didn't even go to Cal. But I'll never understand why the culture hasn't changed, because there is nothing like having a winning sports program. Sure, they're great in rugby. Sure, they're great in swimming. Sure, they're great in diving.
Yep.
But football is king. And look what it's done. I'm going to give the prime example. Boise State. When Boise State got good in football, the enrollment just jumped. And I don't want to hear any more excuses from the powerful Cal alums who could make a difference. Cal should be one of the elite programs. And I get too emotional about this, but you get the gist of my question, right?
Absolutely. Being a college athlete is one thing that bolsters your entire college experience. My ability to walk on at Cal and be on the track team with Marshawn and Justin, and I was lucky because guys get injured, and then somehow I'm running anchor leg against Maurice Green and Team USA. Like, that makes college amazing, but what makes college even more amazing is having really good basketball and really good football teams. And my group of friends that I graduated with talk about it all the time. We literally were there for the best 4-year run of Cal football maybe ever. We didn't win a Rose Bowl, but we dominated Stanford in all 4 big games. guys like Thomas Deku, amazing safety in the NFL, Jeff MacArthur, Burl Toller, who has a long legacy. His grandfather was the first black NFL referee, played on that amazing USF team in the 50s. Obviously, Aaron and Marshawn Lynch. The team was completely stacked, and those games were amazing. I was at the Coliseum in LA when we got to the 9-yard line. I think we were down 5 with like a minute and 20 left, and I think Aaron threw 4 incomplete passes, and we couldn't get the job done. But it was exciting. We were there. Our bodies were painted in blue and yellow. We had a number of amazing games at Cal. I mean, the year after I graduated, Tennessee came to Berkeley, and Deshaun Jackson had the kick to the house, the punt return. I mean, they were electric, and we looked forward to Saturday game days. Even on the basketball side, when I came in as a freshman, Leon Poe, Ayinde Ibaka, Marquise Cately, who was a SF native, played at Reardon with John Tofey. Basketball was great and relevant, and it's just sad to see. Last year, I think they won like 5 games. I don't know what the exact record was, but I looked at one point, they were like 1-12 in conference or something horrible.
Alex,
those students are missing out on a big plus up. And to your point, yes, enrollment does spike. Colorado had the highest number of applicants in school history after Deion's first year there, and it definitely helps. You would think that they would care, but it's just about, like I said earlier, it's an ROI that you can't attach a real number to, and unfortunately, the billionaires that live in the Bay Area don't support the program.
Actually, we got to go to a break here, just really quickly, though. You'll appreciate this. So a friend of mine was an offensive lineman for Cal, and he actually played in the game where the play against with the band. Yeah, but the thing is, he wasn't on the field because he was offensive lineman, so he was off the field. But he was kind of, what's going on here? All right, here's our last trivia question here.
I was there.
You were, and Mike was there. Okay.
Yep.
What is the name of the giant silver sphere at Epcot? Epcot Center, right? In Mike's neck of the woods now. All right. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. We are going to be right back with some closing comments. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowd, Russell Jackman, our special guest, Alex Beita. And our third trivia question, what is the name of the giant silver sphere at Epcot? Who knows the answer to that? Anyone? Mike.
Yeah, I thought it was Epcot Center. In fact, that's the last time I was in Disney World. They were like building Epcot Center. That's how long ago it was.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
What's it called? Do you know? It's called Spaceship Earth. I didn't know that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did not know that. I would have guessed maybe like
I didn't know that.
Walt's Dream Dome.
Walt's Dream.
Yeah.
It is pretty cool. I've been there. I've been there once. By the time that I went, though, it was like New Year's Eve, and they closed the park at noon because it was full, and at 10 a.m. all the fast passes were gone for all the parks. Don't go on New Year's Eve. That is not a good time. A little busy. Alex Beita, thank you so much for joining us on Sports Econ 101. It was a pleasure having you. We got to have you back on. You got a lot of good stuff to talk about here, and
appreciate you guys having me on. Would love to be on anytime.
Absolutely.
Absolute pleasure being here.
Stay tuned for our thoughts for the day. You ready for this? Here we go. Someone once told me that I am so optimistic. In a room full of manure, I'm the one looking for the pony. I like that one. Right. And I'm going to give you some free advice here, all right? Fight like you're the third monkey going up the ramp in Noah's Ark. I like that one. That's good. Crickets. Come on, guys. Those were pretty good.
That's good. There's some humor.
Okay, you really I have to really be on point to get Russ to
Yeah, no, it has to be something that I haven't heard from the Henny Youngman school of you
don't go back that far. All right,
do we want to give our NCAA tournament picks for Final Four or final matchup?
Go ahead. You got 10 seconds. Go ahead.
Auburn versus Duke. Nobody else is in their class.
Wow.
That's the final.
All right, audience, tune in next week to Sports
That's
Econ
fun to
101. We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions or more trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, military.
Adios.